Let's get more now on a potential US ground invasion of Iran with retired British Air Vice-Marshal and military analyst Sean Bell. Sean, great to have you back. Thank you for being with us today.
Paul.
Hi, just wanting to ask you about this Wall Street Journal report that the Pentagon is considering sending 10,000 more soldiers in addition to the 7,000 ground troops or so already on the way to the Middle East. What do we know at this stage about the makeup of these forces, these different groups of forces, where they're headed to and what roles they potentially could be capable of playing on the ground?
Yeah, Paul, what you're trying to get me to do is get inside President Trump's head, and that is an incredibly difficult thing to do. What we do know is that the majority of the initial sort of 5,000 to 7,000 US Marine Corps soldiers were sent to the region, some of them from Okinawa, some of them from the west coast of the US. They are specialist amphibious forces. In other words, they can move forces from the sea to the land very effectively. They use specialized ships. I think they've got the Boxer and the Tripoli with the two ships that provide support, and they provide helicopter support backwards and forwards from ship to shore, but also have fighter jets, normally the new F-35 jets, the vertical takeoff and landing variant F-35B. So it's an incredibly potent force for those 5,000. The other 10,000 at the moment seems to just be a bolstering force once the US Marine Corps have made their landings and established a land position. The broader question, though, is although the numbers sound pretty significant, what about what force are they going to be facing? I mean, when America invaded Iraq, we were talking about 300,000 forces, and Iran sounds like it's got well over 1 million forces under arms. So this is a very small number at the moment. It would be quite a limited capability if it actually had to be used in anger.
And the United States, of course, has a form in holding talks, going down potentially diplomatic routes and then mounting attacks. I mean, how concerned do you think the Iranians are? How concerned are they that the US is about to really send in ground troops imminently whilst also talking up diplomacy?
Yeah, it's definitely a possibility, but the Iranians aren't stupid. I mean, I war-gamed this scenario when I was in the military, and it always ends up the same way, that Iran gets pummeled by conventional military forces, but it always ends up controlling the Straits of Hormuz. They will know full well that President Trump does not have the appetite for a long war. He's got his midterms coming up. He also knows he was elected as a sort of president of peace, bringing war to an end rather than getting involved in enduring wars. And as soon as you put boots on the ground, it becomes incredibly vulnerable. What's most likely happening here, I believe, Paul, is that this is all, President Trump loves doing a deal, and you've got to have leverage if you're going to do a deal. Just the fact that these soldiers are being widely reported as going to the region will just sow a seed of doubt in the Iranian leadership's mind. They've withstood the air pounding, but boots on the ground is a very different matter, and that might just give President Trump some leverage if the talks continue, as we hope they will later on this week.
And so is it really about the Strait of Hormuz? Is that something that these troops in the region or arriving in the region could be really focusing on?
Well, if you look at, from a military perspective, the numbers, as we've just said, are relatively small. I think there's two options. When we've war-gamed this before, Straits of Hormuz is a constant thorn in the side of the West, particularly America. It's a geographic choke point. 20% of the global energy passes through there, and bluntly, it's very difficult to stop Iran continuing to hold that hostage unless you invade Iran and actually secure a big tranche of land all the way on the Iranian shore, and then long-term secure that. Now, I think it's highly unlikely that America would want to do that. Wouldn't it require a lot more forces? More likely is that those forces are just about the right size to go to Karg Island. Probably without a map it's difficult, but it's a couple of 100 miles northwest up the Gulf from the Straits of Hormuz, and that's where the Iranians put most of their oil onto the tankers. It's an island, it's out slightly into the Gulf, slightly deeper water, so it can offload its oil, and therefore controlling that might put a constraint around Iran's revenue and could therefore add some more leverage. But they will be very vulnerable, the forces there, but it might be that's one of the targets.
Okay, Sean, very grateful for your expertise as ever. Many thanks indeed. Sean Bell there, retired Air Vice-Marshal and military analyst.